what's up everybody? I am about to develop my first roll of Bergger Pancro 400. It's a French film. So yeah, I ended up developing that roll. I developed it in HC-110 dilution B. The development times were really interesting. It was 9 minutes. I've never seen any film that needs to be developed that long in HC dilution B. And it was the same time as stock D76, which is interesting. That's another thing you rarely see. But on their website, Bergger says that it looks good in any developer. That's their claim. It's supposed to be an extremely wide latitude film. They use 2 emulsions on it, which is something I've never seen before. I don't know if any other films do that. But so yeah, their big selling point is this really wide latitude range and being able to use any developer. This film has been around for a little while, but it came out in 35 and 120 in 2017. So you've been able to get it for 3 years. They also make all kinds of large format versions of it. So right off the bat, this was over in Kenmore, and I was really surprised by the grain. There is more grain than I expected. I know a flatbed scan is not a great way to judge grain structure, but since this is the way I always do my film, I'm comparing, apples to apples when I compare it to other films. But yeah, they were right on. This is a white wall, but you could see how dark, the blacks and the used parts came out. I barely had to adjust any of this. I would say that this is the most information I've ever seen on a negative of black and white film. Here, the second one, this is that same wall, and it's being, the sun is being shown right off of it. And I had, again, barely had to touch it. I don't, do a lot of darkroom printing. I know how to. I have stuff I've set up, a couple times with my equipment to do it, but I am not a print expert. So I can't comment on how this would print, but as far as scanning and doing a couple edits, it seems like this film is almost a blank canvas. You could do pretty much whatever you want with it. I did some dodging and burning to some of these images. Here you're looking at one, and here's kind of basically how it looks. And this is, some people have complained that it could be a little flat looking. This is with a red filter, so that bumped up the contrast. I'm wondering if HC-110 also bumps the contrast a little bit, being that kind of developer. But here's another abandoned building over there. And again, the blacks are black. There's a lot of midtones. There's information in the highlights. You could really pull a lot out of this film. This is kind of a cool fading sign. And again, just a great latitude. It's pretty impressive. I would have to say this could almost be like a super safe film to shoot. Maybe if your shots are important, you're going to have something here that you need. And like I said, I'm not a darkroom expert, but I'm guessing that you could use your contrast filters and, dodging and burning in the darkroom to really bring whatever you wanted out of this. I think the sky looks really cool. I've driven by this building so many times, and I finally stopped to take some photos of it. These are the stairs at the farmer's market I've been volunteering at. Again, let's jump in. I'll show you exactly, taking the TIFF file directly off my camera. And if you look here in camera raw, the only thing I had to do to, I usually really pull the blacks or really try and pull out some shadows or the exposure in the middle, a lot of midtones with some of the other films I use. And everything is kind of already there. Again, the tent set up at the farmer's market. Now I've shot this with a number of films, and it's kind of cool because I'll have them to compare. This is a spot in the valley. I was on my way down there to do there were a certain couple places I wanted to check out. I hadn't been in years, and I did want to get some black and white images of. And this is in, fairly flat light. This must be around 2 o'clock. Same here. I think this just came out great. I mean, I'm really kind of thrilled with this. And down here, there's this abandoned farm equipment in the Cuyahoga Valley that I knew about. And I was riding my bike. This was my goal, to get over here and take some photos of these 2 farm implements down here. I shot some with the wide angle lens I've been using in the last few videos, and then I went back to my favorite lens. And when I look at the ones I shot with my favorite lens, like right here, you'd look at that background blur. You could say bokeh or bokeh, whatever you want. But this lens, it's not the sharpest lens, which doesn't matter because I'm shooting black and white film here. I believe it was a kit lens for the Minolta SRT 101. I'm not sure what years they had it on that camera because that camera was long running. It's definitely a vintagey looking lens, late 60s, early 70s. Here, look at this, all the contrast in these woods. Some other films, it just would have been a little too much in this high contrast situation. And here there's just so much information. Classic style shot. I really like this. This is, again, that lens. I just just, yeah, I think it's just such a pretty lens. It's by far my favorite. Here's both farm implements together. This is so neat how when you think about it, someone pulled these to the back of a farm field at some point, and now they look like they're sitting in the woods, you know, looking up at it. I mean, look at that sky. It's not blown out, and they're still blacks. Look at the shadows on it. This is an old cabin that has clearly been burned down and destroyed. I'm surprised the park hasn't taken it down the rest of the way. I've wanted to go over here for a long time. This is the first time I've done it, and I'm working, like I said, on a project, and this is part of it, and I needed some black and white images of this for that project. From inside where the roof's caved in. Again, just showing that, two of those shots, showing that tremendous exposure latitude. That's just really, really impressive. I really like this one. Look at the wood on the cabin and the chimney there, and yeah, you've just got pretty much every tone imaginable. Another great shot. This is the front. It's funny, when you approach it from the front, it looks like there's a cabin there, and then you walk around the back, and the back is pretty much totally gone. This would have been such a cool spot. There's a little stream running right down it from the hill, and then Furnace Run is down at the bottom. Yeah, roof cement. This is kind of, in the context of this, little photo essay, I think kind of humorous. Another shot from the side. Yeah, just would have been so cool. Really good textures. Everything looks so, I don't know. I have one more roll of this film. I had ordered two. After shooting Ferrani and it being such a hard process to nail it down, I didn't want to get over involved in a new film. And then now I'm probably going to go back and buy more of this. I kind of want to buy the 120. I feel like, with having the 120, you'd really have a lot of leeway with that information. Another just cool shot. Just really like it. And this is shooting towards the sun. So if you look between that split tree and the left, the sun is actually right up there, and it's still, all this information, little flowers. Again, this is with my favorite lens. If you look at that background blur, it's just fantastic. And there's like a swirly effect this lens has. One thing I didn't do with this film is shoot any people, so I don't really know how it would render skin tones, but I think it would be great because that's where you don't want a lot of, high contrast look. So all in all, this is, I would say, Pancro 400 is the film I didn't know I needed, and I'm really happy with it. I want to shoot more of it and experiment with some different situations. I'm not sure if I said it. This was shot in my Minolta X-700, so I had the red filter on for a lot of the photos, and I think most of them. So this would even look more even, I would think. I know some people have complained about the level. It could almost render something boring. I think maybe if you were shooting like an expansive landscape, but again, with some dodging and burning, either in Photoshop or the darkroom and some contrast control, you really can do whatever you want with this film, I think. So I'm really happy with it. I'll be shooting more of it. I loaded up some Tri-X in the camera after this. I was actually afraid after Ferrania that I would be, this whole roll this one time at the cabin. So I'll actually have the Tri-X to compare with some similar shots, which will be interesting. But talking again about like how, something like Ferrania, once you nail it, is going to have a super specific look. That's cool, and I like to try stuff like that, but this is just really neat when you just really want to get the shot, and then it's kind of, like I said, a blank canvas. So that is all for now. I will be doing a bike video later this weekend, and that'll be the next time I see you. Peace.